is not simple at all. It's a very complicated machine and a very amazing one. I could explain it to you, of course, but would take a little while, so I think first we better have John Kennedy set the stage.
This is a typical manufacturing scene. Men and machines working in cohesive teams. To deliver a better product to the user at the lowest unit price possible is a major criterion of the manufacturing process as we practice it here in America. Fitting neatly into the progressive pattern of American industrial methods is the Berg Tool Manufacturing Company, maker of the Burgmaster, a highly developed turret drill which provides the missing link in volume production of parts that require drilling, tapping, or reaming. The Burgmaster story is an interesting one, a true success story of the dynamic development of one man's ideas brought to practical reality. Berg Tool Manufacturing Company had its simple beginning back in 1942 in the small backyard shop of Mr. F.G. Berg. He began developing his first product, the Tool Flex tool holder, while employed as a tool and die maker. This is the Tool Flex, a vital element in the production line operation. Due to the neoprene sleeving and other special construction features, this tool holder compensates for any misalignment, either angular or parallel, and makes possible greater efficiency in precision drilling on a production basis. And this is the first Burgmaster turret drill built in 1943. The basic design, a multiple spindle turret, is unchanged today, but many additional features and improvements have been created to make it increasingly valuable as a production tool. Today, in this plant in the Gardena area, Berg Tool Manufacturing Company produces its line of Burgmaster turret drills, including this mammoth 8-spindle hydraulically operated unit for the manufacturers of America. Now, to take you on an inspection tour of the Burgmaster in the making, here is your reporter, Ken Peters.
Well, fine, John. I'm sure you all have a better idea what it's all about. Now, let's look on it as a jigsaw puzzle, and we can have the fun of fitting all of these parts together to make a Burgmaster. Now, the process starts out over here, where the rough casting for the different components of the frame arrive from different local foundries. For instance, this is the rough casting of the supporting column of a Burgmaster. And this is the table over here, onto which the part that will be worked on will be fit. And this is a slide or a ram into which the turret head will be installed. And then down there is the rough casting of the turret head itself. Now, before these parts are taken into the machine shop, any rough spots on the side surfaces are removed here, and that involves a lot of grinding and a lot of noise. I don't want you to think these boys are loafing here. They're being kind enough to refrain from working so I can hear myself talk here. For instance, Bob Esterline here has a tool that is an air grinder. Bob, do you want to show us how that works? Okay, fine. You see what we mean about a little bit of noise. Every once in a while there'll be a rough spot that has to be gnawed off with an automatic chisel. That's what Paul Quesada has here. That's an automatic chisel. You want to show us how it works, Paul? Okay, good. Of course, the machining on the working surfaces are done in another section of the plant. Then after this grinding is done, then a basic coat of zinc chromate is applied. That's what Elwood Simpson is doing over here. This is a base that they put on so that it perform a subsurface to which the paint will adhere. Same sort of thing they put on aircraft parts. And then after that, as you see Charlie Bruce here is doing a puttying job in the uneven areas, such as required in any quality job. After the first coat of paint, then it moves out to the machine shop where they do the fine machining, and then it comes back here, and after several coats of paint and careful sanding, you have a beautifully finished end job like this. Now notice right here we have a load of the rough castings that are ready to be taken now off into the machine shop. John, if you'll carry the story on from there now, and remember the Burgmaster is a precision machine, so let's have a nice precision commentary.
Precisely why I'm here, Ken. Showing that it believes in its own products, Berg Tool Company counts heavily on Berg equipment to keep its production lines moving. Here you see Tony Measure using a Burgmaster to drill and tap a slide. And here Ernie Murawski is drilling and tapping a Burgmaster tapping head body. Burgmaster, this one with a hydraulic feed for smoothness of operation and freedom from the strain of hand drilling, and synchronized with a rotary table, is supervised by Louis Guzman. As we travel down the aisle, there's a wide assortment of machines at work, producing the many parts that go into the sub-assembly of the Burgmaster. Across the aisle, Jack Manders, master mechanic in charge of the machine shop, is checking a king-sized 8-spindle Burgmaster, employed here to very good advantage by Shoichi Kato to bore holes on the slide gear box. But before all of these component parts can be assembled, the sliding surfaces of the main supporting column and table must be hand-scraped to absolute perfection. So let's rejoin Ken Peters over in that department. Say, Ken, how are things over there? Is it a steady grind?
Oh, no, not at all, John. I don't think you find it boring either. Excuse me, Joe, but every once in a while John eggs me on that way. I'd like to have you meet now the son of the inventor of the Burgmaster. This is Mr. Joe Berg. Joe, as I understand it, you became active in the company after World War II.
That's correct, Ken.
And what is your position in the company?
I'm vice president in charge of sales and engineering.
Well, I know from talking with your dad that you're responsible for a lot of the recent refinements in the Burgmaster. I think right now, Joe, it'd be a good idea if you would explain to us just what the unique job is that the Burgmaster does.
I'd be very happy to. The Burgmaster, which we are running here, we refer to as the missing link, a very important link in the machine tool production picture. It fills a big gap between the single spindle, low production machine and the very expensive special purpose machine for high production runs. With one machine you're able to perform up to 6 operations on a part very accurately and very quickly and with a minimum of fixturing.
Now, Joe, we've often seen turret lathes. Just what is the basic difference between a turret lathe and the Burgmaster?
Well, Ken, there's 2 really basic differences, one of which is the fact that the Burgmaster is a vertical type of machine using a small amount of floor space, while the turret lathe is a horizontal unit that requires quite a bit of floor space. And then the turret lathe turns the part, which in many cases is very bulky, while the Burgmaster turns the tools, permitting machining of much larger pieces at higher production rates.
Joe, what do you feel is the most important recent improvement on the Burgmaster?
Well, Ken, I think the most important one among the many is the automatic hydraulic machine, which blends in with the trend towards automation. It permits one man to run 2 machines or gauge parts while the machine is running.
We're going to get an idea of how this runs as a completely automatic machine. It's really quite amazing. Thanks very much, Joe. There's another operation over here that I thought you might be interested in. A lot of the moving surfaces of the Burgmaster require such close tolerances that after machining they have to go through a hand scraping. And here you can see Bob Fearing is using this surface plate. This is actually a precision instrument, and it has lamp black on the surface, and by lowering it onto the ways of his column here, you'll see how he can detect which areas are high and need scraping. Now, wherever you see any traces of the lamp black, that means that there's a reason for some hand scraping. You can see a hand scraping operation going on over here that Bill Baker is performing on this part of the Burgmaster. That's the scraping knife he's using with a carbide tip to it. And this is quite an exacting job. He's actually removing maybe 2/1000ths of an inch here and there. And the scrapings that he is removing are a very fine powder. Now, after the hand scraping comes an even more delicate job, which is called flaking. And if we go back to Bob Fearing here now, that's what he's doing. This is a job that really requires a lot of skill. Now, you notice him pounding that knife there. Actually, what he's doing is chipping into the surface of the ways there a lot of little hollows, microscopic hollows. I think you can see that U-shaped pattern there. And the purpose of that is to provide these areas in which the lubricating oil will remain. Otherwise, if you just have the plain surface such as this, why, at the first contact with another surface, the lubricating oil would be eliminated. Of course, I'm constantly amazed at the attention to the minutest detail that is necessary in making of these precision machines. Well, now we're arriving at the point where we begin to see the parts of our jigsaw puzzle being fit together into working units. For instance, I think you'll remember we saw the rough casting of the slide, or the ram here. Now it's been all carefully machined, and Ray Menard over here is work on this particular casting, installing the gearbox into it. Now, the gearbox is the mechanism which will control the indexing of the turret head itself. We'll come back to Ray a little bit later and watch him testing these in the test stand. In the meantime, we might take a look at a few of the other elements. Let's go over here to Art Worcester and watch Art at work here. He has just assembled the transmission for the Burgmaster. Some of you will be interested in this. There are two electric clutches. This small one down here rotates the shaft at a high speed, and when the larger clutch is engaged, it rotates it at a lower speed, giving a variety of speeds to the Burgmaster. I guess Art is just ready to install that in the housing there. And across the way, John Valent is at work installing the spindle elements and the drive clutch into the turret head. John, before you actually put those in, I wonder if you'd show our viewers how the two elements mesh together there. Now, this is the drive clutch, and you can see it and the spindle element have helical gears that mesh at right angles, and this will drive this, which will have the tool in it and actually rotate the tool. Thank you, John. Joe Gascoigne over here is at work on the depth stop drum. Now, this is the element that controls the depth to which the cutting tool will penetrate the work. Incidentally, this particular one is for the manual Burgmaster, and this drum over here is for the automatic one. It gives you an idea of how much more complicated the automatic one is. This is hydraulically controlled. This is actually a piston here that is inserted down through it, and then this intricate system of grooving here is to accommodate a whole series of stops and cams that will control a whole sequence of operation. Right over here is the feed control box, which will, in the automatic unit, control the speed with which the drills will penetrate the work. And Andy over here, oh yes, Andy is working on assembling the tapping units. You know, the Burgmaster not only drills, but it also taps or threads apart. And in order to be able to do this, they have to have a reversal unit in it so that they can withdraw the tap from the piece of work. And this is the tapping unit that Andy's working on. All right, let's go back to Ray now and see whether... Oh yeah, I notice he's got a couple units in the test stand here. You can see them actually operating. Move in here and you can see how the gearbox is functioning there. See that well-lubricated gears that are meshing together so beautifully. And this is the driving clutch right here that will drive the various spindles. And up here is a locating pin. This makes certain that the tool is in the proper position before it will start cutting. And on this test stand over here, you have the unit complete. Here you've got the drum. Here you have the complete turret head with the 6 chucks in it. It looks as though that checks out perfectly and is ready for final assembly. Before we actually get to final assembly, there's a fellow here I think we ought to meet. This is the son-in-law of Fred Berg, the inventor of the Burgmaster. This is Mr. Norm Ginsberg. How are you, Norm?
How do you do, Ken?
See, you also became active with the company after the war, didn't you?
That's correct.
And your job, Norm, is...
I'm the works manager.
Now, Norm, I wonder if you can concentrate on things long enough now to help me explain this final assembly.
I will do that for you.
And down there, Henry Peppercorn is, I guess, checking out one that's finally assembled.
That's right. That one is almost ready to go.
Henry's in charge of this assembly.
That's right.
Now, as I understand it, Norm, the hydraulically controlled Burgmaster is the identical machine that has been converted to automatic performance.
Right.
I think it'll be very interesting to see all of the equipment that's involved in rendering one of these completely automatic. Will you explain to us, Norm?
Well, what you're looking at right now, Ken, is the relay panel for the hydraulic machine. It's quite a few relays that we need in order to make the machine completely automatic.
And then through that conduit there, all those wires lead on up to the control station here. You can see that it really has push-button control. What about this unit down here now, Norm?
That's our Vickers hydraulic unit. That's what gives us our power to move our slide up and down automatically.
Now, if we move over to the center one, Norm, I notice that it is actually operating over here and is completely assembled. Norm, I've heard you make reference now to programming, and I gather by that you mean setting the machine up so that it will follow a set prescribed sequence of action.
That's right, and then keep repeating that sequence indefinitely.
Can you give us an idea how this works out?
Well, we can set the machine here to skip a station.
All right, so look here. We'll watch how it actually skips the station now. Skip that one, didn't it?
Right. Then we can set a different speed on each spindle, pre-selected. And over here, we have 6 different controls to vary our feed into the work. As each spindle comes around, it'll go in his pre-selected one.
I'd like to take a look up here at the drum. I told our viewers we'd see that a little later. Here you can see all the stops and the cams in there. Will you explain those to us, Norm?
Well, with one set of cams, we're able to set the point where we want to go into our feed into the work. This large one is the one that sets our final depth. We also have another one that we can retrieve from the work either slowly or at a rapid traverse.
I can certainly see why this is extremely important to industry and why it's a great factor in increasing automation. Of course, this is just one style of Burgmaster that's made. We might move down this aisle and take a look at some of the others. So what about this one right here, Norm?
Well, this is our hand machine with a power feed on it.
The next one looks like junior size, is it?
Yes, that's our late model we've just come out with.
I think the radio unit over there in the corner is very interesting. If you want to demonstrate how that works, I'll explain it to the folks. Now you'll notice he is showing that that is stationary in that point, but as he presses that button, he then can move it in or out, or he can move it sidewise, meaning that they can drill in any portion of that entire surface down there, making it a very versatile machine. And of course, right next to Norm there, I think you've already had a look at this. This is the big baby. This is the 3BH, which I guess does the same type of work, only on a much larger scale.
That's right.
It's a beautiful mechanism. Well, these are the basic types of machines that are made by the Burg Tool Company. However, a great part of their work is involved in the designing of special machines for specific needs. A very good example of it over here. This is a unit that's being especially built for, let's see, Norm, I believe it's the Rockwell Tool Company of Texas.
Texas, right.
Well, tell us a little about it.
Well, this particular machine, we'll put the part in. On one side, we'll do 8 different operations. On the other side, we'll be doing 6 different operations at the same time. The machine will stop. The operator will remove the part and reload.
I notice this fella is working on it from a blueprint there. Is he sort of in charge of this operation?
George Kopecki, he's in charge of all our special machines.
Well, I think we've conveyed the idea, Norm, that the Burgmaster is certainly an impressive tool for modern industry, and that it really is playing an extremely vital part in the increasing use of animation in our modern-day industry. You know, our film crew has filmed an example of the Burgmaster at work in the manufacturing field. We'd like to show it to you now, so John, if you'll take over, I'm going to move along with camera number 1.
A few short miles away is the tremendous Douglas aircraft plant in Long Beach. Douglas has long been a leader in America's conquest of the skies. At Douglas is the big Burgmaster 3BH. This is a specialized model with a variable angle turret head, custom built for this operation. Here is a long aluminum alloy spar stringer, which requires special facing and drilling at the very end. The Burgmaster, being operated by T.J. Ramsey, fills the need beautifully, performing the several operations quickly and accurately, while the long, cumbersome part is held securely in place. This very important element of the airframe fabrication is later united with many other parts to take the shape of Douglas RB-66 reconnaissance bomber, a high-flying symbol of American air power. And at the Parker Aircraft Company plant near the International Airport, Burgmaster is also in action, adapting to the needs of another important American manufacturer. Here, the Burgmaster turret drills are right at home, turning out in volume the component parts of a hydraulic landing gear assembly for a North American F-100 jet fighter. Dick Powell finds the Burgmaster a welcome asset to this multiple drilling and tapping problem. And Charles Fallon is in agreement. Whatever the operation, boring, drilling, tapping, the end product is machined more quickly and economically with the Burgmaster. In final assembly, Burgmaster's output is translated into one of the nation's most effective guardians of our national security, the flashing North American F-100 jet fighter. Yes, it's mighty nice to have the tools to keep the vital production lines of the nation moving with top efficiency. Still another application of the Burgmaster is found at the Bendix aviation plant. It's the Model 2BH with the hydraulic feed that shines here. In fact, one operator is able to utilize 2 machines to cover his part of the production schedule. Leland Jensen finds the hydraulic unit with foot pedal control is the real answer to his work problems. It enables him to index the drill spindles and preset the drill speed, depth of cut, and rate of change in advance. Then, with these functions operating automatically, he can keep his hands free to maneuver the work exactly as he wants it. The final product that includes this part for which Bendix employs the Burgmaster turret drill is one of the new and dramatic bulwarks of our nation's defense, a fast-moving guided missile that stands ready to intercept any enemy who might try to invade and destroy our nation. While the Burgmaster may play only a small part in the overall production, its contribution is highly important. It's on the job to do a job for the continuing security of America.
Well, you know, Mr. Berg, it isn't very often we have the pleasure of meeting and talking with the inventor of the product. I know a lot of our young machine-minded viewers will look forward to hearing from you. I suppose your interest in machinery goes way back, huh?
Oh, yes. Ken, I was at it since I was a boy of 10. And as a matter of fact, my toys were tools and gadgets.
When did you first start working in the machine shop?
Oh, since I was 14 years of age.
One thing I'd like to tell about this man, he was a boy at the time, of course, but when he wasn't actually working at his trade, you could usually find him in the garage at home working on different inventions. And they tell me that way back as far as 1950, he had worked out a complete air conditioning unit, and he had even developed an automatic gear shift. I understand you couldn't get that idea across to people.
Well, that's quite a few years back, Ken, and at that time, the auto people were not interested. That's when I was a little bit touched. People weren't interested either.
An automatic gear shift just wasn't practical, was it?
That's right.
Well, now, how did the idea for the Burgmaster come about?
Well, Ken, when we first started, we had very little money, hardly any equipment, and a small shop. And it occurred to me at that time we could build a unit for ourselves whereby we can combine 6 spindles into one. Give us the type of equipment we need. And it happened to turn out so good that we thought we could manufacture these units.
Mr. Berg, as to the future now, I understand that this little mock-up unit over here will play an important part.
Yes, Ken, it's our latest development. I believe it'll be our biggest. This is a unit that will supply the demand of small parts manufacturers, small manufacturers, and hobby shops. We propose to build this unit on mass production basis at a price and a quality that people are willing to pay.
I think, Mr. Berg, we should identify George Picconi there, who's your chief engineer and who is pretty largely responsible for
Oh,
it.
yes. George is devoting all of his time now to do all the development work on this particular unit.
I certainly want to thank you very much, Mr. Berg. It's really been inspiring to meet you, to see your operation, and to hear your success story. It's certainly
Thank
been
you, Ken.
very well served. Good night.
Mass production, unit cost. These are vital words in our 20th century economy. For we're continually striving to increase our production with the greatest efficiency and economy. Under our dynamic system of free enterprise, it's the right of every man to seek the widest field, the greatest opportunity.